Hi everyone, Andy Moore here with Let's Fix This. With the state legislative session scheduled to start in just a few days, we wanted to take a moment to help walk you through some of the tools that you can use to find, research, and track legislation as it moves through the legislative process. We're going to start on the Oklahoma Legislature's website, which is a great place to start, particularly if you know the bills you're looking for. We'll look at how to look them up, what you can find when you do look them up, and how to track them using their legislative electronic notification system, or LENS system. And then we'll also look at Legiscan, which is a private product that has a free and a paid version. It's what we've used the last couple of years. If you listen to our podcast, you've probably heard us mention it. We think it's pretty handy. I actually use a combination of both the free tools from the legislature as well as Legiscan. And of course, I also look on Twitter, which goes without saying. So first, let's look at the state legislature's website. You'll see here down at the bottom left, it says find legislation and search the Oklahoma statutes, statutes being another word for laws. So if you are looking for a bill, something that perhaps you already know of it or you heard about a bill, you can look it up here. In a minute, when we get to Legiscan, that's a helpful tool if you're just searching for bills on a particular topic, like because you can do a keyword search. That's not an option here on the legislature's website, at least not yet. But let's say you're looking for Senate Bill 452, which is a bill that I was looking at earlier today. Once you look it up, you can see the screen here. It shows the history. Right now, all the dates are on here are going to say February 1st, which is the first day of session. And so that's all they have. That's considered the date of the first reading for all the bills. It has a summary of kind of what it is here. You can also find a similar summary, slightly longer, but here on the Summaries tab. Any amendments, once it gets to that point, would show up on the Amendments tab. Versions is very helpful. This is probably the tab that I use the most because it shows you the actual bill itself. So you click on the different versions that might be there. As it goes through the process, it'll add additional versions in case there are amendments. Right now, of course, this is just the version as filed. They're all saved as PDFs, so they should open up on any device you have. And if you're looking for what changed, you can scroll through and you look for things that may be crossed out or that were underlined. So here, Senator Kurt has changed the phrasing "this act" to the Oklahoma Open Records Act. And then for this bill, the real meat is at the end, where she has added Section 8 that discusses how if public records exist in an electronic format, then they must be provided in an electronic format. There's no requirement to print them out. So that's what a bill looks like. We'll go back to the website. Again, as there's committee reports or floor versions, they would show up here on the versions. You can see votes, which is helpful to see how your legislators may have voted on a particular bill. And if there's any co-authors, there's not yet. Again, we're just getting started. You'll see up on the top right here, it says receive email updates for this measure, LENS. That's the legislative electronic notification system I mentioned a moment ago. You can click on it right there to go to it. Although also if you go back to the home page, you'll see at the bottom it says track bills, log in or create account. That takes you to the LENS page as well. And so let's go there now. You can create, sign up for an account, activate it, password stuff, all the usual things when you sign up for an online account. I've already signed up, so I'll just go ahead and log in. And here, if you haven't already looked up a bill like we just did, you could look it up here. So we'll type in Senate Bill 452. It doesn't pull it up just yet, but this is where you select the type of actions for which you want to be notified. And as you can see, there's a lot. These are all the possible steps that a bill might go through. It doesn't mean that they will go through all of these steps, but if you want to ensure that you are fully up to date on what's happening, you don't miss anything, you could just leave them all checked, and they're all checked by default, right? And this goes all the way through the committees, the floor actions, the actions in the opposite chamber, any conference committee actions. A conference committee is when they have to kind of hash out details between different versions of a bill. And then down to executive actions, which is when it's sent to the governor or Secretary of State. And if the governor has signed it, vetoed it, or I guess those are only two options. If he doesn't do either, then it's either a pocket signature or a pocket veto, depending on timeline. On the right, you can save your settings, you can retrieve your settings, all of that stuff. So I'm going to say save my settings for this. And it has been added to my list now. And so if you click on my tracking list, you'll see Senate Bill 452 is on here. And here are all the tracking options that I have selected. So that's that. So that's how you track it. So now I will be getting emails about this bill whenever anything happens, which is pretty cool. So I mentioned that a way to find bills that you may care about but don't know the bill number yet is to use a tool like Legiscan. So we'll look at that. The website is legiscan.com. Again, they don't sponsor us. They don't give any donations. If they'd like to, that's cool. But you can see at the bottom right, they actually have some stuff in a number of states, not just Oklahoma. But you can search here, pick your state. You can type in the bill number if you want. So let's, for the sake of argument, look at Senate Bill 452 again, and you can search. And lo and behold, here it is. Senator Kurt is the author or sponsor. There's the title. There's the history of it, what's happened so far. You can get a link directly to the bill that takes you to the bill. The summary, this goes to the PDF that we just looked at. And if there's anything else, these are on the legislature's websites. So they pull directly from the legislative website, which is very handy. If you are, let's say, looking for something about, I don't know, elections, you can just go down here and type in the word elections in the full text search, and that will search the full text of all the bills and click search, and boom, look at this list. This is enormous. You can see a lot of bills have been filed that include the word elections somewhere in them. They don't all necessarily pertain exactly what you're looking for. So the more specific you can be, the better. I will note on this screen, it's important to look at the last action, because at some point, there's 231 results. You can see at the top. At some point, you'll start seeing bills from previous sessions that can pop up. That's obviously not always what you're looking for. In fact, usually not at this stage. But you can kind of scroll through here and read the ballot titles, or excuse me, read the bill titles and get an idea of what they may actually be about. So there's some that would modify procedures relating to primary elections for county office. There are, some about voter registration. There are, cancellation of registration for deceased persons. Basically, it looks like it's adding a new form for the funeral directors. So there's a lot to sort through, and these will all be bills, particularly ones about elections, that I will be looking at over the next few days. So that's very handy. Let's go, we'll pick one about, we'll do this one right here. So House Bill 1766 from Representative Eric Roberts about cancellation of deceased persons. Click on it, takes me here. Again, you can click on the link to view the bill itself and the summary down there. But at the top, you'll see sponsors. This tells you who the authors are. Texts, so those are the different versions. You can see these tabs are very similar to what we saw on the legislature's website. Votes, in case they voted. There's no votes yet, of course, but also has the latest text, which is pretty handy. Research about it. So these are some other sessions where this bill number has been used. Again, it varies widely, right? So they reuse bill numbers from subsequent or from previous sessions or legislatures. so that's not always particularly helpful. If there's any news, like here's Google and just general web search, you can click it right there. Also, if you want to read about the author, there's Follow the Money, Ballotpedia, Vote Smart, all of these websites. It's kind of a one-stop shop here. Very helpful. Saves you from Googling. You just click the link and it Googles for you. Any comments on there? So you could put comments. I've never even noticed this, but I guess you can comment on there for others to see. That's funny. And then there's a blue button that says track. So if you want to log in, you can create a free account. You log in and you can add it to your private monitoring list. So as I mentioned earlier, that's one way to do it. And I just click track and I don't see that it has added it on there. So now that I've logged in, let's say I go on the left side and I type in elections again. Again, you can look at current session, recent sessions, the prior one, or all throughout history. All right, here it is. So we go back down to that bill we were looking at, House Bill 1766, and I can click track now. And it says at the top, it has been added to your monitoring list. So on the left now, I have this little box that says, Legiscan user, monitor, boom, and it shows up in there. It will show the last action in there. And you can also add your stance on a particular bill. I didn't say this earlier, but if you go back to it, this tracking information here, you can add it as like a label to a topic there. Elections would be one. You can assign a priority. So if this is a high priority bill for you, you can assign it a 10. You can say you support it, you oppose it, or you watch it, and there's any notes for yourself. All of these notes and your priority and your stance is really just for you, but if you are someone who tracks a lot of legislation for your organization or just for you personally, it's helpful to kind of know, because all the numbers get jumbled up in your head, and sometimes it's tough to know exactly where you were on a bill, especially as language flips between different bills. Sometimes the same content but different bill numbers can be real confusing. Again, there will be thousands of pieces of legislation filed in the next couple of days, and so it's tough to keep track. That's why these tools exist. All very handy. Okay, well, that really is about it. It's straightforward. If you have any questions, first use the help features on either of those websites, but I bet you can figure it out. Again, oklegislature.gov and legiscan.org. I will put links to those in the video description here. If you're watching this on our website, then there's probably a link to those websites somewhere nearby. Go forth and track good bills. If you need help with that, please hit up our resources tab or stay in the loop on our email list. Have a great day.